Well, it's my pleasure to introduce one of our great candidates for county executive, someone who I think a lot of you know has been on a lot of nonprofit boards, has obviously given a lot of himself and his family's time and other resources, and we really appreciate his leadership and him being here today. Chris Abele.
After the coin toss, I guess I couldn't help thinking in my head, and the team elected to receive. I was actually, I agree with Sachin. We have strong candidates in the race, and I've been proud to call Jim a friend and supporter. And like many people, was very sad to see him in a district that's sort of bracketed by Tom Reynolds on one side and Leah, and I think it's sort of a cuckoo clock frame. God, you served us a lot better. I'm from Boston. I moved here about 20 years ago, and I stayed here because I love this place like nowhere else I've ever lived, and I won't live anywhere else. As many of you know, I run a foundation right now. I support and have supported for a long time a lot of lefty causes proudly, a lot of Democrats. Prior to that, I built and ran a business, had some success in that, continue to maintain it, but most of my time and the most rewarding thing I do is to work hard and try to help move the world in the right direction, and as I see it, I imagine it's largely how you see it. Politically, I was thinking before experience with other-minded people. For a long time, a big part of what I did was human rights work, and I had the odd and somewhat surreal experience of working with the Bush State Department, which was just that, odd and surreal. I know that things you've heard and descriptions about how partisan things can get in government, even when I thought I'd seen the highest extremes, I had the experience of the State Department requesting a group that I was working with a meeting, and they wanted to do a grant with us, and they asked on a phone call, hey, we like your group, but we've researched your board of directors, and you have a lot of Democrats on your board. And I seriously thought he was joking at the time, and I said, well, that's still legal, right? Or is it like Patriot Act 3 where we kind of ruled that out? And you were researching us why, and this was your meeting. But just in terms of the extremes to which things go, we can never forget. We can never forget. It's so important to fight for the things that make Democrats great. Fundamental fairness, fundamental civil liberties, and that's why I've spent a lot of my working life in the last 20 years doing that, and with pride. My progressive experience, I think, is best summed by ACLU, Citizen Action, Planned Parenthood, now Feminist Majority, NARAL, Women Forming the League of Conservation Voters, a whole bunch of education groups, and a long list. None of which, of course, I was doing because I thought I was going to be running for office. All of which I was doing because they're things I care about and will do no matter what happens in this race. I decided to run because while I've been on the other side and supported candidates and Dems with varying degrees of success locally, statewide, and federally for many years, I truly care, again, about the place that's my home. And I've watched, as we all have, as this county has been an increasing train wreck. I mean, I think it might have been the Titanic about maybe 6 years ago. It's become the Titanic plus the Hindenburg, but worse. Since then, and given what the governor is likely to do in terms of shared revenue and reinforcement funds, it'll get worse still. I think the fact that the biggest thing the county does, Health and Human Services, is something we rarely hear about, is because for 7 years, the last leader of county was largely indifferent to Health and Human Services, and that is truly tragic. Yes, parks matter, absolutely, and so do the arts, and so do the ports, and so does busing, and so does transit, but human services, I mean, the human part of what we do, is to allow that to suffer the way we have is beneath all of us. I'm running because I care. I'm running because I've had a lot of opportunities to lead, and I've had a lot of success doing it. I'm running because I've worked with politicians at local, state, and federal level on both parties, and I'm running because I know I can make a difference, and I will beat Jeff Stone.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris. So we have 2 yes or no questions, and then we have an additional question. These are all from the Issues Committee of the local Democratic Party, and then we'll open it up for a couple of questions from the field here. So the first is, will you...
Packers.
Yeah, he does. Question 0, do you support the Packers? Okay. Will you support the half-cent sales tax that voters approved for public transit and for property tax relief? Yes or no?
Well, yes or no. I mean, they approved it before a giant recession. You know, I probably want to make sure they still approved it, otherwise I wouldn't be a Democrat.
Okay.
Majority.
All right. So the answer is he wants to hear from the people.
There you go.
Okay. Number 2, will you support a resolution that requires the county to lobby our congressional delegation to eliminate military spending in Iraq and Afghanistan and use the money to meet domestic needs?
Well, I will absolutely would and have lobbied lots to spend the titanic waste of cash that we regularly do in wars that aren't achieving anything. Yeah, I don't think anyone in the room probably disagrees that the money would be far better spent domestically. What I can do from the county, I'm not really sure, but if someone's got a good idea, I'm all over it.
Okay, great. And then the third question from the Issues Committee is that parts of Milwaukee County have infant mortality rates as bad as sub-Saharan Africa. How will you address, as county executive, the health crisis in Milwaukee County?
Well, see earlier reference point about the tragedy that is Health and Human Services in Milwaukee. I mean, step 1, act like we care. Prioritize like we care, fund like we care, higher quality management like we care. I have had the great village of hiring leadership a lot. I've had that experience. I'm a big fan of going out and getting the best and the brightest, and it's something I think I know how to do. And I would absolutely, that's the starting point. I mean, the most important part of any functioning organization is good leadership. You know, I don't see the staff around me as part of a campaign strategy for governor a few years. I don't see labor as the enemy, and I don't see supervisors as people to be avoided. You can't let people help with a problem if you don't talk to them. I'll talk, I'll seek out and reward good, talented people.
Good. Are there some questions from the audience? What's your name, sir?
John.
John.
Mr. Abele, I'm a student at UWM and I'm a political science major.
Can you stand up so everybody can hear your question? Thanks.
I'm a student at UWM and I'm a political science major. A lot of my friends have said that they think Jim Sullivan's a better candidate because he's more experienced. And I just wanted to know why you think you are more qualified. Because I really support your philanthropic efforts and I'd just like to hear from that so I have something to tell them.
Well, I have absolutely nothing but respect for what Jim's done. And I would just say we have different types of experience, and I'll leave it to voters to decide.
Other questions? Mr. Bobbin.
I guess one of the things I'm concerned I have about the county executive race is I just wonder when are they going to start campaigning? I think we have a problem when people don't know a campaign, a primary is upon us. Yeah. And also I don't think people know the candidates. So I guess from your standpoint, what are you going to do to get elected? I mean, are you going to be doing any door-to-door mailing? Are you going to do any TV? Something along that line.
Yes, yes, and yes. And, you know, I mean, on a broader point, I think all of us should be concerned about the fact that, as you all know, special elections don't have the turnout we like, but then again, general elections don't have the turnout they should. And, you know, I mean, if we could all get media to pay more attention to its role as the fourth estate, you know, I think there'd be a lot more coverage of meaningful issues, and it's unfortunate there isn't. But to your question, yes, yes, and yes.
And what is the date of that special election?
February 15th is primary, and then April 15th.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate that.